Okay, welcome to the first episode, Quantum Life. Thank you so much for the support. We passed 25,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. It shows me that what I've created is accepted and people actually are using it and seeing results. So from now, I want to continue what I'm doing. We'll also share different things about my life, how this whole process started and where I am now. Let's rewind back and start from the beginning, where it all started. This is Vietnam, the country where my parents were born and my sister were born. After the war, my parents were able to immigrate from Vietnam to France. My parents and my two sisters flew from Vietnam to France, and I was born a year after they got there, in 1981. From there, I grew up surrounded by French people. I could never fit in, really. Never really knew who I was. I always felt lost. Grew up with two sisters, they took care of me. My mom was working, my dad was working. So growing up, I was on my own a lot. Our childhood was pretty simple. My parents were immigrant. When they came to France, they started a new business, a restaurant. The restaurant did well, and I grew up into this environment. When my parents were working, I was just hanging out in the restaurant. But alcohol and the vices of society got into my dad. He became abusive. He started to cheat on my mom and become really a bad father. So growing up, we had a really bad childhood. It was always a worry for the family when father would come home, because after a night of drinking, which happened a lot, we never knew where he would go. And a lot of time he went to the dark side, anger and hatred and a lot of abuse. And I saw a lot of things that I shouldn't seen. And so my parents got divorced and they separated. I was 13 when that happened. So my father moved to America where my grandma was living, his mother. And he just lived there for a couple of years. And I wanted to really leave France. I didn't fit in. So I saw this as my opportunity to finally have a way to live. So I left France at the age of 16, joining my father into America. Even though I disliked my father because of the abuse and everything that we've been through. When we grew up, we had no money. My dad would just gamble the money away, lose everything in gambling. Come home, into a fight with my mother, physical fight. We hear screaming, or a lot of shit will happen. Still in my mind, but I let it go. America, I didn't know what to do. I tried to fit in. My first name is Nicola. When I came here, people couldn't pronounce my name. They say, what, Nico, what? So then I became Nicholas for a while. Another layer that I put on my face to make you believe that was who I was. A lot of time we have all those layers we put on, and we forget who we are truly deep inside. As I left France and became Nick, I was happy. I was depressed before. But coming to America made me realize that there's an opportunity that is possible here. And I decided to see life differently, not as a victim anymore, but more as somebody that can make their life a reality. Because we've been fed, the American dream is beautiful, it does work, it is beautiful, but there's some degree where we gotta stay in, otherwise we go too far deep, and greed and burnout start to happen, and that's what happened to me at the end. So this is what happened. I came here, became Nicholas, went to college for 4 years, DeVry University. I had a degree in computer engineering. In my mind, I always thought that computer would be the future. So I was like, I want to learn a skill that we use that. After 4 years of college, I couldn't get a job because a lot of those jobs require me to have an internship. Because I came as an immigrant at 16, and when I graduated, I was 21. During that time when I was in college, I was working full time as well. My schedule was pretty hectic, but somehow I managed to go through it because I knew that I had to. I was on survival mode. Nobody could help me. I moved out of my father's house at 16 and find a way to just live on my own by just doing something I knew, which was just doing nails. I got this nail license that I was grateful for. And now I look back where I used to hate nails, but now I see why it was there for me. My grandmother paid for me to go to school to learn right after I came from France. And from there I had a license where I could practice another job that would make me money. So I could go to school and make money on the side. So this is what my path I did from 16 years old until I was 21. So after college, what happened? I couldn't get a job. What happened? I opened my first nail salon. After working in the industry for 5 years, I kind of knew what was missing and what could be improved. So I decided to open my first nail salon. At that time, I was dating a Polish woman. It was actually her idea for us to go into business together. Because we used to date, and she was like, why not do something together? All I knew was nails. So it was like, how about open a nail salon? I had a friend that could build a nail salon for us, and he just there to help us out. And that's how the first salon happened. So my path to entrepreneurship was kind of also a survival mechanism that I developed because I had to really find a way to make money and buying this thing that I needed now. Each year I had a newer car because I got brainwashed into wanting more meaning working more. And that's why I realized after one salon that was successful, me and my girlfriend actually fought so much that we actually broke up. After 5 years of having this nail salon, this first business as an entrepreneur, I lost it all. But we were able to sell it, so we split the money apart and we moved on way. After that, I decided to be on my own. I was like, how about now I try again? Even though nail industry was not my passion at all, but I had so much years of experience that I wanted to still try again on my own. So I opened my first nail salon on my own. So in 2010, I opened the first posh nail salon in Ohio. From there, it blew up. After 3 months, we were making money. So we started to franchise. I had a friend I went to partner together to start working together into expanding this business legacy we're building. So at that time, we had a lot of things going on. I had a salon, he had a salon, and then from there we opened a new salon together. So we had 3 salons together. From there, we started to look for more location to really expand and franchise our business. We found a model that worked. The idea was to change the way the nail industry was. Back in the days, which you remember the 90s when the nail started, it's pretty much it was 90% Vietnamese owners took over the industry and made it something that they could be good at. The Vietnamese people started to use the Vietnamese mindset into the nail industry, which was bad business. You worked in the beginning because the Americans didn't care, but after a while, it started to fail. The thing that they were doing was only caring about the volume. The more customer comes in, the happier they get. So customer service was non-existent. That's why I saw the problem was. As we started to implement more customer service element into a nail salon, it started to get bigger and bigger, and people started to contact us to build them a nail salon for them. So as we took down a side job, we started to build salon for people. And we became a company that built nail salon. Posh Nail Company became this entity that did nail salon and then also build salon and remodel salon for people. At that point, it was 10 years in already into being an entrepreneur and doing all those businesses. I was starting to get bored. So I was like, I wanted to go back to school. I was like, I got a degree in computer, why not continue and get a master? So I went back to school, signed up for the DeVry for a master degree in computer science. And I remember the day as I went into class for the first day. I was excited. And I'd go in and I look around the student, they look younger than me. And I sit down. The professor comes in, gives us a syllabus, pass it around, start to read it. And there I just shook my head. I was like, I don't think this is for me. After being an entrepreneur for 10 years, I couldn't go back to school and just learn something new. I just couldn't do it. After one day of enrollment, I just quit and went back to the drawing board. What can I do now to really get me going? All I knew was nail salon. So I decided to open a beauty school, because a beauty school will give me the opportunity to train students, and after that have them work for me into my nail salon. So even though I was an immigrant, English, I found ways to open this beauty school. The beauty school was beautiful. I found ways to really get all the documentation, pass the state board, and submit it, and they approved the school. But the first day that we opened, I remember like it was yesterday. I will tell you what happened. So it took 3 months to go to school. The school was open, but every school or nail salon need to be inspected by the State Board of Cosmetology in order to make sure that your establishment is to code and everything is right before you can open and start making money. So the inspector comes in. Her name is Tony. She looked at the school. She tells us, "Wow, the school is beautiful. You guys did a great job." So her head is like, "Yeah, we know." And I look at my partner. He's shaking his head too. But then she tells us something that hit us to the core. She told us, "But you know what though, I hate to say that to you guys, but even though your school is beautiful, you guys know that you won't make money for the next 2 years or 3 years." And then I looked at my partner. I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" She got to explain, "Well, listen, a beauty school, most people that will come in are students. And most students don't have money, okay? So they will need financial aid from the government to allow you to pay the tuition." We're like, "Yeah, okay, we know." But we didn't know deep enough. She told us that it takes, before you can apply to get financial aid to be offered in your school, you need to be open for at least 2 years. So you go into this accreditation system, loopholes, all kind of documentation and seminar you gotta attend just to get approved and accredited. But it costs a lot of money. Even though it's a non-profit organization, it makes no fucking sense. It charges so much money, it made it impossible for us to actually get it. We tried so much, so hard, and tried to keep the school open. At the same time, she was right. It didn't work. So we lost the school after 3 years of trying to keep it open. It was my dream to have a school, to have an office actually. I was being a nail technician, doing the nails behind the table with a nail salon owner, and they had an office really. So my dream was one day I want to have an office. So after losing everything, I decided to start over. So the only way out was to sell everything. I had nail salon already that I built. I started to sell one by one just to have the school survive. It was the saddest thing to sell a business that I had, the first one that did so well. I just sold it because I had to keep this dream alive, this school to be alive, to stay in operation. So I sold everything, sold the businesses, and it wasn't enough. So I had just one more option to do, was filing bankruptcy. The one word that people are afraid of because of ego, or the perception of the word with the personality. People might think that, oh, look at this guy, this must be bad with money. This is why he filed bankruptcy. And people don't do it. And they get stuck into this routine of just pay the minimum payment just to stay alive with this credit card debt. So I decided to just file bankruptcy. At that time, President Trump was president. And I was hearing in the news he filed bankruptcy multiple times for his businesses. And that's why I saw the opportunity to use bankruptcy as a tool as business owners. Sometimes we play the game wrong, we fucked up. So the government gave us a chance to restart over and we raise all our debt. So why not use this tool? It's just like playing Monopoly. You get a little card that tells you can reset, restart, and use that as an advantage. So I decided to file bankruptcy where that was going to be helpful to me. And when that happened, it was the best day of my life, I remember. After the last day with the attorney, last document signed, I was debt free. All the debt that I accumulated throughout my life in America from 16 to 35, which I didn't have before in France, became such a burden that I couldn't live anymore. I got burned out. I gave up. And I did that. My soul was relieved. My soul was happy. Finally, at one point in my life, I snapped out of it. And I was like, all right, what now? Do I go back doing nails, which I hate? Or do I do something else and try? And I picked the other path, the path of the unknown. And throughout this journey of finding myself to self-discovery, I came into podcasts from Tom Bilyeu, Impact Theory, with awesome guests that I studied. Each of those guests gave me a book to read. And I came into Dr. Joe Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural, the book that really made me become who I am today, and also kept me doing what I am doing today, quantum movies. When I read Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, I was at a time of my life where I was already on the bottom. I lost everything. So it was time for me to reprogram my mind, to not be the victim anymore, to be more like the master of my mind, the master of my life. How can I, just this, the brain, manifest what I want and change the way I live? And I just went 100%, change my mind, become more positive, do all those things that I was said to do to change your mind. Growing up, I was always negative because of the way I lived. Living in France, in Paris, people are depressed there. There's such gloomy weather. The sky is gray, you're not happy there. It's dirty. There's a lot of reason why French people are unhappy because of the environment itself. My father was negative, my mom was negative. Everybody was so negative around me that I became negative, even though I was not inside of me. And I decided to become somebody different, become somebody supernatural. How about become positive now? Become nice, be kind to people. I'm gonna talk to everybody and just change myself. Dr. Joe said you can change mentally, we will reflect from the outside as well. So I decided to reinvent myself. Who is Nicola? I let go of Nicholas, the layer shed away, and I was able to go back to my roots, which is Nicola. I went back to a name that makes sense to me. And even then, I'm still evolving to who I am. So I keep cutting the name down. Now I go by Nico because I feel it's just more me. It's probably the layer that's inside of me. It's not Nicola anymore. Nicola was given from my parents, this name that doesn't reflect who I am. And then Nick was not it either. I wasn't American. I am not American. You can tell from my language, from my voice. So then when Nico came along, after doing ayahuasca and all those retreats, finding myself, meditation, I finally found who I am. I am Nico. Sometimes it takes challenges and hitting the bottom, losing everything, in order for someone, for me, to understand that there's something more to life than just chasing money and fame and fortune and authority and whatever it might be that you try to chase. When deep inside of me now, I know what I want. It's not about the material things that makes me happy. It used to, as I was a consumer of the society, capitalism and all these things that was fed in my mind to buy and whatever it is. I realized that when you really find who you are without those layers of onions, finally you can feel this feeling of bliss, of happiness, nirvana, moment of zen. You understand that life is about just being present. Meditation helps you take the nose out. This is why Dr. Joe Dispenza is so big on meditation. You can actually access a different state of mind and let go of this old quantum universe that you created that doesn't make you happy. Create a new one that you believe is beautiful, kind and loving, accepting. You create it because no one else is going to create it for you unless you use your mind, the power of your mind, into making the word you want a reality.